Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder. And oh boy, ooh whippy, there is a recent system mail announcement that gave us some further clarification on the migration feature and what has been done. We're going to read this through. It just came out about 2 hours ago, at least my time, and hear what they have to say, and then just give you my thoughts, generally speaking. So as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you, because it helps out a lot. All right, we have discovered an anomaly in the game's migration function, where some players' data were not accurately counted. Okay, interesting. This resulted in certain servers that should have reached a full status remaining open for migration. Okay, so the post that we read yesterday and what the grapevine was rumoring appears to be somewhat true. We have now completed the necessary repairs for this issue, which will take effect after the server restarts. So that means that people can still potentially abuse or take advantage of whatever they were doing, essentially? Or are they just saying that, no, they fixed it, but that it will officially or publicly take effect after server restarts? I don't know. This line is a little interesting to me. Additionally, we will reset all migration data, and players who have completed migration will be returned to their original servers with any related expenses incurred during the migration process refunded. Okay, so you get your gems back, and they're basically just resetting it. Furthermore, to provide you with a better gaming experience, we've also increased the maximum capacity for migration to the destination server during this repair. Interesting. That is freaking massive. Why? Because they've never done that before. For as long as the game has been out, since Season 1 Plus entered into its first migration window, they have not had any increases in server capacity beyond. And let's understand this, right? So normal active status, right? Let's show this off to you. Normal active status has a 350 player cap. Active is 200. Crowded, we imagine, is 75 to 100. That's what we've always been estimating. And then full is just full, right? What they're saying is that now they're increasing the cap. However, what does that mean? Is that across the board? Why not just give us numbers? I don't think that's that hard to say. In addition, it's not like there's anything that counts how many people are coming in and that number going down from whatever the max number is that we can see anyways. Attention is in the details, right? And that's something I think everyone would absolutely love to know. Is this somewhat of a good? Can this appear to be somewhat of a good thing that the maximum capacity for migration is increasing? I say yes and no. Yes, on the side of that, it's great if we're going to be able to get more players into a kingdom. Sure. No on the side, and then yes, also I should say that you have a higher chance now to get more players in from medium to large size groups, right? You can bring in more of your alliance if you're trying to move out of a full or crowded into a normal. Or active, for that matter. However, it's no, or on the side of no, is that you still do not have a way to vet the people that are coming in. You can't regulate it. You still can't accept deny any players in order to make sure that you're trying to attempt some form of quality for people that are coming in. And on top of all this, you also don't have a way where players can continue to join the kingdom if they're under a certain amount, right? Once you reach that cap, it's done, right? We talked about this yesterday when you look at the way that Rise of Kingdoms does theirs. We compare this with Infinity Kingdom as we were looking to how Call of Dragons' system is currently set up. So for this, I mean, yeah, to me it's a yes and no, right? I don't know if this is I don't know if this is all around a net positive just because of the way that the current system is. And to them, this is, I view this as just more of a Band-Aid fix, right? Of course, there is always the long-term solutions that will hopefully become available or will be more available once Home Kingdoms are released in the next update. But is this okay-ish for now? Sure. Next line. After the server restarts, the migration function will be reopened. You can then select the server you wish to migrate to and join forces with other players in battle. So, they're doing a hard reset or a rollback for everyone that has migrated, which, to be fair, depending, and let's be really real here, I can only imagine that the reason why this is getting, like, let's really put this into perspective. Why do they do hotfixes? Let's understand that first. Why do they do emergency mails or last minute mails? It's because in most cases, or on average, things are being manipulated or taken advantage of, or things are being done in usually a very big extreme. Meaning that either a lot of people are doing them, or it's or enough of a group is doing it that is just being really taken advantage of, right? Even though I really almost believe it's more of the former, it has to be something that they view as game-breaking, right? Or just very imbalanced. It has to be up there in order for them to do something like this. Otherwise, why do it, right? They can just wait to fix it. I mean, there's a number of bugs that I've seen in games that aren't really being abused. Maybe it's just a few people that are doing it here and there, or it's not viewed to the developer as something that is game-breaking, and then they'll just patch it in the next update. This is something that clearly, I mean, again, if you think about how this can be abused, I mean, this could be something where, and we talked about this yesterday, right? If your status is at full, and you've already reached the max amount of players, and you have the max amount of influence power in order to achieve that full migration activity status, excuse me, and you're able to manipulate, let me just die real quick, and you're able to manipulate that to where you can come down from full and then go into crowded. I mean, this isn't like you killing off some troops and some units in order for your influence status to come down. And I don't think, I still can't even look at this, right? This is, because, we saw that happen, and we've heard about this happening last season, I think the season before, where after influence was introduced and we started figuring out the particulars, you saw a number of alliances that were doing that. They were like killing off their workhorses or gathering troops, maybe killing off some other units, right? Not stopping merit gains, right? So they weren't doing merit trades anymore. Like little things that they could do to try and test the system. And some of those things did work, where some kingdoms were able to drop out of full for a little bit and then bring a couple more people in, however many that may have been. But this has to have been something, in my opinion, based on how this is written, based on what we heard yesterday, what we saw being talked about in CoD Gen Chat, that there must have been a significant, or at least a decent enough amount of people that were able to get into full kingdoms because they were able to drop either significantly or enough for it to really impact the power of the kingdom overall in comparison to other kingdoms. Meaning, and this is really probably more of an appropriate way to say this, is that this could have been something that allowed for true super kingdoms to be established in the game that would have had lasting impacts for a while. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. For those of you that have played Rise of Kingdoms, if you played, I would say around beta, if not before Kingdom 200, maybe even around 100 to 200, but I would say almost before 100, and you were familiar with before migration was introduced and then before Imperium statuses were introduced, there were super kingdoms that were being established. Some of these were 1196, some of these were 1093, and a number of others. Right? I think 1156 might have been in the mix too as well, and then some of the earlier ones. And one of the big reasons why this happened was because migration was unregulated. Meaning, and I can tell you this because I joined one of these kingdoms and I later found this out, is that for my time in 1196, when I would speak with leadership, it was, for them, it was just all about let's recruit as many people as we can. It doesn't matter who they are, to an extent, right? It was just more about let's get as much power in as we can, because back then, when migration was introduced, there were no limits. You could have 1,000 players come into your kingdom and you be billions of power, tens of billions of power ahead of the number 2 kingdom, right? That's all it was. It was like a herding race of cattle. And obviously, eventually they came out with the Imperium system and some migration restrictions, or limitations, we should say. And in large part, this was done because of the way that the system was just unbalanced and ultimately unfair when it was introduced. And so now you have a situation. I'm not saying that COD is like that. Obviously, you can clearly see that there have been some growing pains and learning opportunities there, where even when their system came out, they just had a hard number cap, right? And obviously kind of tinkering with this influence system. We'll probably touch on that in a later video. But this is all in all to say that I think the way that they're doing this, with recognizing the situation, we'll say, and addressing it across the board, not just a few people here and there, I think is the right play. Obviously, I think for anyone, this is the thing to understand, is that once people, let's just say, once players found out about whatever it is that they could use to take advantage of within the system, typically anytime you do stuff like that, you have to understand that rollbacks can happen, they can reset, and to be fair, even if the people that are doing it view this as unfair, why are they going to roll back when we're just utilizing what the system gave us? That's true. But I can tell you, I've been playing these games long enough, and I'm sure others have as well, where even if you feel that you're doing something within the game's current logic or current system, and you feel that, okay, this is okay to do, that's just not always going to be the case. So, when it comes to those things, my advice usually is do them with caution and never assume that these kinds of situations may not incur a rollback or a hard reset. And like I said, for me, this is the right move for them to do, because I can only imagine if they didn't do it, how the kingdom powers may have ended up looking once home kingdoms came. Because some of you know, once home kingdoms come out, I am going to most likely do something that has never been done before manually. Let me say that, right? Without using some kind of algorithm or bot, so to speak, to kind of pull data going through the API, etc. Right? I'm planning to go through every single kingdom, probably from Season 2 onwards, just to be specific, and rank them. And I'll probably do a major video on that. But I do plan to go through and start doing top 25 kingdoms, doing the top 25 lowest powered kingdoms from Season 2 onwards, and looking at that, and looking at a lot more data that we can see from home kingdoms. Even just looking at month to month on kingdoms' general growth or drop off, right? And so I think about that, where I look at something like this and I say to myself, man, what would this have been if this was not caught, if it wasn't addressed? If a reset didn't happen, would we be looking at like 25, 30 billion power kingdoms? Like, how high really would it go? What would that disparity look like between 1, 2, 3, 4, like the top 25? Excuse me. For me, these are questions. So with that in mind, these are my thoughts. Would love to hear from you on what you think about this. I imagine most are probably going to be happy about the increase in max cap. And so with that in mind, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As always, until next time, I'll catch y'all later.